15 million. That is just a staggering number. According to the groundbreaking 2025 Eat Lancet Commission, shifting to a healthy, sustainable food system could avert 15 million premature deaths every single year. We're talking about roughly 27% of global mortality here. It is a massive, almost incomprehensible figure. But the amazing thing is, it starts with choices that are entirely within our reach.
Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to bridge a pretty massive gap between those huge global stakes, literally the fate of our planetary systems, and the practical, everyday habits we can build right in our own kitchens.
Here's our quick roadmap for today. We'll start with the global food impact, look at the planetary health plate, and build a sustainable pantry. Then we'll dive into templates over strict plans, master zero-waste cooking, and finish up with habits for the long haul. Let's get right into it.
Okay, Section 1, the global food impact, agriculture and planetary boundaries.
So the Eat Lancet report actually calls our global food system the single largest cause of planetary boundary transgressions. Basically, it pushes the Earth way past its safe environmental limits. We're talking about agriculture driving nearly 30% of greenhouse gases. It's the primary driver of biodiversity loss and the absolute largest user of blue water, our freshwater rivers and lakes. To protect nature so we can keep protecting us, our food production absolutely has to fit back inside these clear environmental boundaries.
Moving on to Section 2, the planetary health plate, a flexible pattern.
If agriculture is the core problem, well, our dietary patterns are the solution. And thankfully, this isn't about rigid, punishing rules. The macro breakdown of the planetary health diet shows that plant foods, your whole grains, vegetables, fruits, legumes, and nuts, they form this massive foundation. Literally half your daily diet is just fruit and vegetables. But, and this is key, it leaves modest room for animal source foods based entirely on your cultural preferences. It's a totally flexible, culturally adaptable pattern designed to optimize your health while keeping the planet safe.
To see what eating within planetary boundaries actually looks like in real life, just look at the vibrancy of a plant-forward meal. I mean, you've got beautifully caramelized roasted vegetables, hearty black beans packed with fiber, and deeply satiating whole grains like quinoa. It's completely mouth-watering, and the best part? It's highly sustainable.
Now, you might be wondering about the cost, right? We really have to dismantle this myth that sustainable eating is some expensive luxury. The data from the 2025 Commission shows pretty clearly that a healthy diet is actually more affordable than the standard Western diet. Moving away from heavy meat-centric diets and leaning into plant-based staples like beans and whole grains literally lowers your grocery costs. Honestly, it's unhealthy eating that ends up costing us way more in the long run.
Which brings us to Section 3, building a sustainable pantry, the foundation of flavor.
Zooming right into your kitchen, a sustainable diet starts with how you actually stock your home. We're talking foundational staples here: dried heirloom beans and lentils, whole grains like quinoa and brown rice, and bulk organic stone-ground flours. But it's also about the storage. Using reusable glass jars for your bulk goods makes your pantry look incredibly organized and, more importantly, it heavily reduces packaging waste. And swapping out that flimsy plastic wrap for beeswax wraps, it keeps your produce fresh while creating a really cool zero-waste environment.
Next up, Section 4, templates over strict plans. Flexibility over perfection.
So how do we get past that awful friction of feeling overwhelmed by strict dietary rules? It all comes down to flexibility. Rigid meal plans are just exhausting. They require constant planning, they force you into strict recipes, and man, they are incredibly hard to stick with when life gets busy. Repeatable meal templates, on the other hand, offer such a low mental load. You just use familiar foods and make super easy ingredient swaps. You aren't reinventing the wheel every single Tuesday night. You're just plugging different ingredients into a trusted pattern.
Take a simple lunch template, for example. It requires just 3 easy steps. First, pick a protein, maybe some tofu or beans. Next, add high-fiber carbs, like a scoop of brown rice or some roasted sweet potatoes. And finally, just load up on colorful vegetables. Keeping a small rotation of go-to meals built on this exact framework completely removes the need to invent new dishes from scratch every single day. It's a real game changer.
Okay, Section 5, mastering zero-waste cooking, a day in the life. Once you have your templates and pantry staples in place, cooking with zero waste has this beautiful, natural flow across your week. Think about it like this. On day 2, you might do the super simple action of soaking dried chickpeas overnight. On day 3, you boil those beans to make a rich, creamy hummus for lunch. By day 4, you're taking whatever veggies are left over, roasting them up with some spices, and tossing them into homemade tacos. A tiny action on one day effortlessly sets up absolutely delicious meals for the next.
And here is a highly actionable zero-waste tip you can start literally today. Keep a container in your freezer and just collect your vegetable scraps. Carrot peels, celery ends, onion skins. Once it's full, boil it down into a rich, homemade veggie broth. It completely proves that even the offcuts of our food hold immense culinary value and flavor. Plus, it's virtually free.
Finally, Section 6, Habits for the Long Haul, Environment and Mindset.
If you want to make these changes stick for months or even years, you've got to remember this. Willpower is not a long-term strategy. Success in eating sustainably isn't about white-knuckling your way through cravings or, forcing yourself into restriction. It is entirely about smartly modifying your daily environment so the healthy choice just becomes the easiest, most automatic choice.
So how do we actually make our environment do the heavy lifting? We'll start by putting cut fruit and vegetables right at eye level in your fridge. Then take those higher-calorie, heavily packaged snacks and store them completely out of sight. Try to remove your phone and laptop during at least one meal a day so your brain can actually register fullness. And this is absolutely crucial, focus on managing stress and tiredness. Lack of sleep drastically alters our hunger signals, so by just addressing your rest, you'll find your food choices naturally shift. It's wild how connected it all is.
We've covered the macro statistics, planetary boundaries, plate breakdowns, and those everyday kitchen habits, but it all comes down to action. So my question to you is this: what single ingredient or habit will you swap in your kitchen tomorrow? Building a healthier body and a healthier planet doesn't require perfection. It just requires practice. Choose one thing and start there. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer.